We are getting ready to kick things off. I know we're waiting on one more, but that's okay. Here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about Ylopo and FollowUp Boss and the exact systems that three particular teams have used to effortlessly recruit more than 100 agents. There's a couple of questions that I hear repeatedly in the business. Number one is the question that I always hear is, what's the best tech stack? I hear it often, and I hate the question because it's such a the answer is so elusive. It's not really super cut and dry because one business might run their way. No single team runs their business exactly the same way. I think what's beautiful about tools like FollowUp Boss and Ylopo is that no matter how you run your business, it's about kind of merging those tools to adjust for how you run your business. So we're going to get some differing perspectives here and talk about how we're able to, to leverage the technology to kind of better mold the way that we're structuring and running our business. The second question is, how do I sort of start to build, or how do I become a lead magnet for attracting the right talent? How do I maybe keep that talent accountable, and how do I give that team the tools that they need to be successful? Because if I'm not keeping them accountable, then they're not a good fit for the team. A bad fit for the team is going to be toxic to your culture, and it's not going to allow for growth in your business. And if you're not giving them the tools, and tools doesn't just mean tech stack, if you're not giving them the tools and the training to allow them the opportunity or afford them the opportunity to be successful, then we're, again, not setting ourselves up for success. But let me power through a couple of quick housekeeping items here, because I know people always ask. Welcome, Barry. Yes, this webinar is being recorded. You're going to get a copy of the replay automatically once the webinar wraps up. So don't worry, sit tight, keep an eye on your inbox. We got you covered. Yes, feel free to take notes. Use that Zoom chat if you have any questions. If any of you are feeling stuck or overwhelmed, literally don't worry. If any of this does feel overwhelming, myself, other members of the Ylopo team, we're all here to answer your questions, and we're happy to follow up with you on a one-on-one Zoom if that's a little more helpful. But take as many notes as you can. If you feel like, holy crap, that was like drinking from a fire hose, don't worry, you will get a copy of that recording. And like I said, if you have any technical questions, you're more than welcome to post them in that Zoom chat. But if you need us to get back to you, the team and I, Ylopo and FollowUp Boss, we're all here to answer your questions. We're happy to help as soon as the webinar wraps up. So what are you here for? What are you going to learn today? We're going to talk about, how we've built how a couple of these teams have built their tech stack, and what some of the most effective lead generation systems today. What are some of the most effective things we can do to attract the right sort of leads to our orbit, and to keep our agents, sort of humming along and working along effectively. We're going to talk about the marketing tools that will keep your brand front and center all of the time, not just some of the time. And then why having an industry-leading CRM that is organized and allows your agents to succeed is important. We're going to talk about basically how are we leveraging these tech stacks to allow our agents to be successful. For those of you that are not familiar with who I am, my name is Ricardo. I'm the head of partnerships and events here at FollowUp Boss. I'm just a geek who has been geeking out on this stuff for the last decade. Live in Costa Mesa with my wife, kids, and our dog Yoshi. And I just geek out on everything real estate marketing and technology. But with that said, I'm going to kick it off to our three awesome team leaders and presenters, Gabe Cordova, who is with Core Realty Group, Barry Jenkins, realtor and owner of the Friends in Real Estate team, and Mark Pattison, the founder of Porchlight. What's up, guys? How we doing? So quiet, so quiet.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, I'm never going to be quiet. Actually, I'm going to share something really quick, Ricardo. You were talking about yes, it's being recorded and everything. Somebody asked me that day, you do all these webinars and all this. What's the number one question that you get asked in all these webinars and trainings that you can do? And I'm like, that's easy. Is this being recorded? So anyway, what you said, I was like, the number one question that I think we always get asked. So.
Without fail.
I never go back and actually watch them.
Yeah. What's that, Mark?
I'm horrible. I always want that, but I never have the time to go back and actually watch them. I'm like, oh, I wish I could go back and read my notes I took at that conference. No.
All too
My
true.
joke
All
is,
too true.
butterfly loses its wings every time somebody asks.
This is being
It's
recorded.
just being recorded.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Well, I'm excited, Ricardo. Being part of this, working with Barry quite a bit, knowing Mark for several years, watching him grow his team. I'm excited about this, and I'm actually excited to be part of this because it's probably an area that we've done a lot and had a lot of growth and have a lot of tools for agent attraction, but also an area when you said, hey, if you're being overwhelmed, especially if you're single agents, screw that. Even the team leads, man, this is a constant changing piece of our business that we're trying to master and work on. And I know for me, it's a big focus of what we're doing. So I'm excited to be part of it and to be sitting here taking notes along the way from these guys.
Yep, absolutely. So let's get into it. I think when people register for these webinars, we ask them, what's the single biggest challenge or thing that you'd like for this webinar to address so that we can tailor the learning specifically to you. And one of the things is, as we go into a downtrending market, we think about the importance of recruiting during those slower months. And what's working for you, or what are the best practices, or how do I literally turn the knob and fire up my recruiting? I think that all works a little bit different. You all run your businesses a little bit differently, one person than the next. But Gabe, let's get started with you. As a team leader, how have you tackled sort of the recruiting process and becoming that attractor to your business?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of ripping off other people and duplication, some from both of these people. I'll give them credit right off the bat. From social and all that to systems. I'm definitely more of a systems guy. I'm bringing in and building tech stack, which I know they're going to touch on as well. And having done this for almost 20 years and being a team or team lead most of that, a big shift in our revamp of core group in the different markets we're in is really taking a lot of things off of our agents' plates that I don't think they enjoy doing. If we're being honest, they're not doing it because they don't enjoy it. We're not doing it well. And I forgot to turn my follow-up boss sound off. Sorry. But right on cue. But taking it off of their plate so that they can focus on dollar productive activities. So, a lot of it is just really streamlining lists. Barry's touched base on it as far as, finding things that are worth agents' times. Worth their time and allowing them to just come in and do that. So a lot of our interviews or we're meeting with agents and everything, it's a little different approach. I don't want agents, and I'm going to say this and retract at the same time. I don't want agents doing a ton of cold calling and prospecting and all that in the wrong areas, right? It's really coming in and how to help them focus and utilize the tech there between Ylopo and AI and dynamic alerts and FollowUp Boss and smart lists and all that, to be able to, instead of spending 2-3 hours a day, prospecting and cold calling, how do you spend that time or less time calling the right people at the right time? That speed to response versus speed to lead, and then offloading, the rest. So a lot of it has really gone into simplifying our follow-up into an ABC program with expectations that are set up front from the beginning. I think that's a big part that we need to identify as team leads, is just making sure that we're setting proper expectations, which will in turn create your culture and all that comes in of what's wanted and having it defined, right? I think as team, go ahead, Barry, sorry.
Yeah, I was actually going to just echo what you said, that you get a lot of ideas from me. I'm just kidding. I had to run with that, same as Mark. But I think from a messaging standpoint, people come to, so I run a teamerage of 70 agents, and there are a division of agents on my team that need me for business, and there's a division of agents that don't. And I think when you're deciding to recruit or grow your business, it's not a bad thing to ask yourself, what is the messaging I'm looking for right now? So let's say you say to yourself, okay, I feel comfortable that the opportunities I'm giving my agents right now, I feel good about that group right now. Let me just try to see if I can find some people that maybe they've got an established business, right? And the good news about recruiting is you get to decide what you're looking for. I have found that with the messaging for agents that have an established business, the value add that I can bring from my follow-up boss, right, to these, the way that I do that is I obsessively try to not have them use the logical or pragmatic side of their brain, right? So instead of going into FollowUp Boss and just saying, it's amazing, get in there and find your opportunities, I say, go through these 3 lists. If there's a name there, I want you to try to reach them, okay? That's it. That's it. Like, seriously. And that crushes. Because then what I'm able to do is not just say I have opportunities, it's I have so many that I leveraged our CRM to quiet all the noise. And now instead of having 162,000 people in my database or that meet these 5 criteria, I think if you call them and leverage your experience, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, given the circumstances that these filters are allowing you to find, you're going to crush it. And I know that I sound like am I breaking up? Somebody just said I'm breaking up.
I
Yeah.
don't know if you know what you sound like right now. I was like, did I take too many ibuprofen, or is that Barry?
Little bit of lag on your connection, but we got you so far, so good.
All right. Anyway, clarity in messaging is what is going to provide you the largest breadth of agent recruitment. There's so much noise out there. We got to quiet it.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the things too that Barry triggered for us has been a shift. And sorry, Mark, I'll shut up so you can chat here in a bit too. Is when people are coming in, I think we're really quick to be like, all right, and I'm all for tech stack and our systems too, but also taking a moment to get to understand them. And I think help identify holes in their business as well, right? Because you don't need to speak to everything. I'll just start showing a few little nuggets. And again, anything I show, everybody's welcome to have. Michelle will get copies of stuff to people. So one of the things that we've been doing, it's an automation that we've done in FollowUp Boss. Let's see here. Let me share my screen. So when leads we even bring our agent recruits right into FollowUp Boss, right? They come in and we have an automation created when agent recruit for the source is blurred out comes in. We're going to do our initial call, which we set up for like a 15-20 minute get to know you. Is we have an automation in FollowUp Boss that puts a list of questions. And we're not going to ask all of these questions, but it's an automation, throws it into a note, puts it right onto the agent's profile in FUB. And the whole idea is getting to just ask questions to find holes in the business and to get them to understand really what are their pains, right? If somebody's willing to meet with you and all that, there's probably pains or holes in their business, but sometimes we jump right in just saying how great we are, how great our tech is and all this without-
It's all me.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to list those questions, and it was group effort from Damon, some through Smart Center and all that, but getting a list of questions to where we just get them talking and they start volunteering the pains and the holes in their business. And it's all automatically added in to FollowUp Boss on the lead profile so that it's right in front of them when we're doing that kind of get to know you call. And then it also helps us, is it a right fit for our team? Before I start selling to this person to get them on, are they the right fit? And do I have the right solution and tech stack to fix the problems in their business before I just start cramming them down their throat?
I think it's all about asking the right sort of qualifying questions or asking the right discovery questions, right? The less you can make it about yourself and why you're the best, and the more you can ask these discovery questions to see where they need help. I think I've always heard, oh, the leads aren't any good. What other system do you recommend? And it's not that the leads aren't any good. It's, no isn't necessarily no. It's just not right now because I have these concerns or I have these questions. Are you asking the right discovery questions to identify those concerns and to help overcome those objections? I think that's the barrier we have to get past. And so loading those questions as a script, not even to follow verbatim, but to give them some sort of guidance is super amazing and super helpful. The one question I did have for you, and somebody listed this in the questions over here at some point, but somebody asked, like, what smart lists do you recommend, or how do you manage your smart lists? I think the reason most CRMs are so overwhelming or can be overwhelming is because you log in and there's freaking data everywhere. And to follow up with the first lead that's there, like lead hits your inbox and it's, lead to speeded lead, right? But how do I make sense of all of the other data that's in there? How do you guys take the thought of, like, me figuring out what leads to go after occupies or takes up so much mind share? how do I reduce that mental tax on my brain so that I know which 3 smart lists to hit and how to prioritize my day to hit those biggest opportunities? Mark, I see you nodding your head. Do you want to weigh in?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, Gabe's going to be able to talk about this a lot better because he actually came to my office and helped me set these up a while ago. Thank you, Gabe. But we have it set up, hand raisers, people that are interacting with the website through Ylopo, which then triggers the smart list in FollowUp Boss. So that's going to be our number one person we go after. We also have HomeBot that's integrated. So anyone that's shopping online or clicking through HomeBot, it lets our system know in FollowUp Boss. AI replies is another smart list we created. So anyone that's engaging with Rhea and going back and forth. And then number 4, active priority. So people that are engaging with the search, and then hot follow-up is kind of our last one. It's kind of an end-all bucket that we throw everyone in, but definitely having that so that the agents, when they show up, they don't have to go. I do have some things because I do think that agents, when they show up, we're kind of overwhelmed and we get busy doing other things. And this is probably already came up with, but I think we need to have parental controls where I can be like, only new leads can be seen right now, or only nurtures can be seen right now between 9 and 10 o'clock. And they have to call so many to unlock the next level. So I want to change it more into a prospecting game through FollowUp Boss, which is going to be fun, but kind of like what they need to start to clear out. And we just make sure our agents clear it out every single time. And you can do it through the smart list. I mean, you just say, hey, your smart list need to be cleared out before you get on new lead shift. Because I don't want to overwhelm you. Always make it in terms of them. Hey, I want to make sure you're not overwhelmed in leads. Make sure your smart lists are cleaned up. Once you do, come show me, and then I'll turn your leads on again.
And I think that's kind of what Mark was just talking about is a little bit. I think Meredith asked a question in there, talking about that difference between speed to response versus speed to lead. And you should know what you're getting into, Ricardo, because we're already all over the place. I'm just hitting the questions at the top. So good luck. So really, and that's kind of what Mark was talking about, that we've set up in our account, and something I've learned from Barry and taking a little bit different spin on it is speed to lead is definitely important. So I'm not saying that it's not, but in our ecosystem, everybody has a job. And to me, I want to make sure I'm responding to somebody who's raising their hand, asking a question, or responding to somebody that's taking time to text back to AI. I want to have speed to somebody is responding to me versus chasing somebody. Maybe I don't know if it's a good phone number or they've never communicated. So for us, I'll just kind of show you a quick example. So there's a visual to go with it is, sorry, I got to move my Zoom tools here. When I go out, we've created smart lists, and they're all going to be a little bit different. Mine are a little bit better than Barry's if we wanted to take count here, but everybody should have some sort of process, right, of what they're doing. And what that means is when we've segmented this, now is a stage, because we have a lot of in-house ISAs that are constantly setting appointments. And there are people right now that we're waiting for an agent to pick up. So it is like, we just spoke with them. It's an appointment. We need this handed out, right? So agents can jump in here if they've qualified. This is an earned spot where they can look, who right now do we have set appointments on? I wouldn't want somebody going anywhere else if we have somebody waiting for an agent to confirm they're going to be an appointment, right? Then we go into who's raising their hand, who has inquired on a property on the website that they're waiting for us to respond, or we're still trying to reach, right? We're going to go through these and zero out this list first. Then how many do we have engaging in HomeBot, interacting with that home valuation because we want more listings, and so on. Who's responding to right now? We just turned on a bunch. I scan this list. I'm not too worried about stops because they're unsubscribing from somebody else. I love on holds. I love when they're giving me areas. This is a list that I'm scanning, and I'm actually excited about this, Barry. We're testing giving people can opt out, but sometimes if you give them another option versus opting out, just is your home search on hold? I love these because now I just need to define, does that mean in 2 months or 6 months? But I'm responding to people. I go through priority alerts. I'm going to skip an internal one. Now, these are the ones that Ylopo is re-engaging and triggering based on activity, and then giving me new phone numbers. So it's just working from the lowest hanging fruit going backwards. We focus on that though, because, and again, my new leads were at the end of that list. For us internally, because we have ISAs calling the new leads, a lot of times the agents can get there. But again, between list 1 and list 7 for us, which is the now versus the new leads as an agent, because that was all my different markets, the now list might only have 1 or 2. The hand raiser might have 1 or 2. The Raya reply might be 1 or 2. So they only have to go through 4 or 5, but they're very hot, ready, more interactive leads, and then they get to the new. So they're still getting there quickly, but I would rather they get somebody there that's doing something and asking a question versus chasing someone. So kind of a long answer, but that's like the idea of speed to response outweighing speed to lead. Not saying it's not important. I would just respond before chasing. I'll send that. Some Mark's Dia asked for that on hold. I'll throw my initial script on hold versus opt out in there that we're testing. And again, I think most people that respond on hold probably would have responded stop. We gave another option, so I'll paste that in the chat for everybody.
So somebody had asked, how do you manage, I think Dan Peterson had asked, how do you manage how many leads you give to an individual agent?
So can you guys hear me okay? Am I still sounding weird?
Well, you're weird, so
you're frozen, but we got your audio.
We got you.
Where's Barry based out of again?
Keep talking, Barry.
Oh, don't say that.
No, we lost.
We lost you. I missed the question. Sorry, Ricardo.
No, the amount of leads you give someone. So the way I do it, guys, is it depends on the type of lead that you're giving someone. I always like to think of things in terms of quality. I mean, your top tier leads, like a signed call is going to be a very high quality lead. A Zillow Flex lead is going to be higher than like typically a realtor.com because it's gone through a concierge and passed off to Zillow Flex.
Today's not my day with technology.
A PPC lead or a Facebook lead is going to be a lower converting and a lower quality lead. So it really depends on which lead source you're giving someone. If you gave someone 100 Zillow leads, they'd be drowning. If you give someone 100 PPC leads, you should probably put it on some more automation before you have it going to the agents because they can't keep and follow up with that many that convert at that low. So you need to have ISAs, you need to have some automation with some drips and some basically kind of like Rhea and having
more aggressive, a lot more aggressive nurture basically.
Yes, because if you just leave it to the agents, you can't nurture 100 leads per month for 18 months and you would just be drowning anyways because you couldn't do it. So I personally like to keep them around 20 leads a month. The way I focus on people and how I'm chopped up is I have squads. So to give you a background, I have 70 agents. That's a lot to track and get people to make sure that we're following up with them and making sure that we're going after them. We have each squad leader in charge of 15 agents or less. And the squad leader is in charge of making sure those agents are taken care of, making sure they're following up. If they're not, they kick them off their squad. They're not kicked off our team. And the way the squad leader is paid is off of closings that their team agent does, their squad agent. So it's a way to make sure that everyone's monitored on there. So if you go for it, and every market's totally different as well. Like in San Diego, if you're doing a 5% conversion, just reverse engineer it. How many deals does that agent want to do? How many leads do you need to give them on their conversion? Now, is that feasible if the lead costs $75 a lead, $200 a lead, whatever you're paying? And then you look at it, and I would give that person that many leads. There's some agents, I got a girl, Sam, she'll take 50 leads a month and she'll convert 5% of them. But she's going after it. And that's good conversion in my market. So it really matters, the agent, the type of lead. There's no black and white answer.
Hey guys, sorry, can you hear me now? I'm having trouble with Wi-Fi, I guess.
Got your audio.
Yeah, okay, good.
Loud and clear.
So yeah. So we'll start with that. We'll work our way up to the video. But my concern with what we've discussed so far is someone, and I know we're not done yet, but someone's going to get off this and be like, man, those guys made it sound so easy. They're kind of oversimplifying. And there's a strategy to that, just so everyone knows, like the reason why it's so important to me to start with talking about like simplification and making it easy is because you guys are all going to get really excited about all this new stuff and you think everybody else is, but they're not. They're actually going to get overwhelmed, and they're already overwhelmed. So you need to make this look as easy as possible. Ricardo, I don't mean to hijack things, but I was wondering if I could take a second and just give some of my favorite criteria for smart lists that
please do.
Users that are okay. All right. So my favorite criteria to put in smart lists are last site visit, last communication. So last time they were on the website was within X amount of days. Last time we tried to talk to them was in X amount of days. Tags. So your website provider, obviously, Gabe and I work for Ylopo, and so we're biased, but Ylopo does a really great job of getting people to use our website and then tagging the people based on behavior. So for example, if they look at a home evaluation report, there's a tag for that. If they save a home, there's a tag for that. So there's all kinds of tags that allow me to really granularly sort the behavior. So when you take these three certain tags last communication, and last site visit, or last activity is a variation of last site visit that's actually a little bit better. But when you use these three and you apply it to different kinds of opportunities, so there's new opportunities, and there's a certain cadence for those and certain scenarios you're looking for. Then there's old opportunities that nobody ever spoke to, but then they keep acting like they're interested, okay? That's another kind of bucket in this stratosphere of opportunities you're providing your agents. And then the third one is people that are, we have spoken to, we dispositioned as like a hot lead or a warm lead, and they are, they're still kind of searching. When you apply the three criteria that I just gave you that are my favorite to those three buckets, it becomes very simple. New opportunities. I have a certain cadence that I want my agents to follow. Maybe for you, that's 3 times a day for the first 10 days. Let's say that's what it is. Well, then you could say, show me everybody that's 10 days or less. They came into my CRM in the last 10 days. They haven't been called in the last 3 hours. Okay, well, there's your list. And then as your agents are calling through, they're calling their new opportunities. And then the second bucket would be anybody that, let's just say, is older than 10 days. And they've been on our website in the last 7 days, but you haven't tried to reach them in the last 7 days. So while they were searching on your website, you never tried to reach them. And then my personal favorite is that third bucket, all the people that you did talk to, the hot leads, the warm leads, the cold leads. You guys are all normally afraid to reach back out to these people because you're afraid of making them mad. But what if you were able to dial in your nurture based off of website behavior? Last site visit, last communication, and specific tags allows you to very easily prioritize behaviors. As an industry, we like to copy people that are more successful than us, and we should, and that's why we're doing this webinar. However, if you do exactly what Mark or Gabe or I do to the T, because your market is different than mine, your agents are different than mine, what you're looking for might be subtly different than what I'm looking for. And that's why you're going to hear us talk about these principles for you to really analyze, make a decision, and then execute for your agent. Sorry, I didn't mean to take up all the time.
I love that. I love it. I tried giving some, Barry, I don't think you can see it. I was trying to give some visuals. So I was just jumping in there. If you guys are not going in and using those search filters to really zero down, you know, you're just creating a scenario where when you're recruiting, to tie it back to the recruiting part, is when you're recruiting and showing them what's going on, it looks overly complicated. They're stressed out, especially if they're coming to you to solve for whether it's no leads or better systems. You've got to make it look easy. We've got to make it easy, not just look easy, but we've got to simplify this process. I'll back up a little bit. The question on, and
you're getting rid of overwhelm, and that's all you're doing. And
yeah,
to Misty's comment, you know, my agents are overwhelmed with it all.
Yeah, simplify it.
Yeah, you're by creating and dialing in on your smart list, you're literally eliminating overwhelm. That's what you're doing.
Absolutely. And somebody was asking about, like, you know, how many leads per agent and all that. Mark's right. Like, everybody's going to do it different, right? But you've got to get a process, get a system in place. Anybody that knows me, I'm big on documenting and actually having processes and systems. So one of the things that I'd recommend, and again, anything of mine you guys can have, is just document it. We use an ABC. So to answer the question for us, how many leads, anything that I generate for my teams, you are welcome. Ricardo, Mark, Barry, whoever it is, you can have as much of mine as possible or as you want, as long as you make it an ABC, right? It has to be an ABC. If it's an A, you agree to call it once a week. If it's a B, you agree to call it twice a month. If it's a C, you agree to call it once a month. That's it, right? Past clients, if you sell one of my leads, you want to keep it in your ecosystem, fantastic, keep it there. They need to be called once a month, all right? It's an expectation. We outline it upon hire. We haven't signed it. It's just an expectation. Have as much as mine as you want, as long as the follow-up is there, right? We also then will go through, because Barry's talking about filtering and sorting. Let's make sure, we got to make this look easy, are all the stages that you've got in your follow-up boss. So stages or statuses, whatever you refer to them to, all of these in here, do they make sense? Are you all working from the same definition, right? So we let anybody have as much as ours they want, as long as it's an A, B, or C, and then they update the stages, and we just document it all so that it's on the same playing field. What makes this really nice is, let me go into a calendar. So for example, perfect. I've got Alicia's calendar pulled up. So Alicia works on her calendar. because everything's super easy. She's like right now it's her prospecting time, but you'll see like later this day, hey, it's time for her to follow up with her C leads, because we do it once a month, and it's during the week that has a 15, yeah, right here, has a 15 in it. So you'll see on her calendar, Alicia has the 50. So when Alicia comes in, she needs to do it. She doesn't need tasks for all of her C leads. Our Cs are probably a year out, right? They need it once a month. So all Alicia needs to do is she pulls up her leads, and it'll, by default, she clicks on C, right? Does Alicia only have one C lead? No, I've built the C lead because the rule is you can have as many as mine as you want, as long as Cs get called at least once a month. So to what Barry is saying is she can pull up her Cs. It's already pre-filtered to show her anybody that's not in a do not contact that she's not called in 30 days. Right now, when that time block comes up for Alicia to call her C leads, she doesn't need to pull up them all. She doesn't need to go reference tasks or anything. She literally goes to her smart list. There's one. And watch if I remove this, because it's saying filter out anybody that she's called within the month. No, she's got 19 Cs, but because she's called them within the 30 days, she doesn't need to focus on them. It allows her to scale this, right? So when her time block for Bs come up on her calendar, right, which will probably be next week, when this hits her calendar, all Alicia has to do, click on her B list. It'll have the number of people that she needs. Right now, it's just one. In a week, it might be more, because it's already filtering out the people that she's called her text in less than 14 days. So we can simplify the system. And I think you can feed your agents as hungry as they are, as long as they're not wasting, right? So you just have to figure out what that number is. Mark said, if you give them 100 Zillow leads, they're going to be drowning. They are, right? So you need some sort of expectation. If I'm going to pay for and provide a Zillow or whatever it is, what is your expectation for them to touch it? And just have it mapped out. They don't want to invent this. This is why they're coming to you for the tech, the team, the systems, and the process. Show it to them. Have it all in front of them so it's very easily laid out. And now it's like, oh, so I just time block my calendar like that. I can have as much as yours as I want. We can simplify this, right? And we don't need them chasing 300 people. Have them focus on a very active 30, 40, 50, whatever that number is for their business and their goals.
Well, and Gabe, I don't know if you mentioned this, but something we all are really big on is numbering the lists we make. It effectively creates a workflow. When I did just that, the amount of time my agent spent in FollowUp Boss went up by about 35% month over month. Like when I say amount of time, I mean like on the phone time. Like they spent a third more because they weren't searching anymore. They started list one, they go to list two. The side of your brain that tells jokes and is creative is literally the opposite side of your brain that's pragmatic and planned. Your agents are going through these lists, looking at the notes, making a decision on why they shouldn't reach out to this person. Oh, I don't want to make them mad. Oh, we talked to them last week. So if you can make these lists prioritizing the opportunities, you're de-burdening the need for new leads, because you can run ads to the people you already have. If your business model is only based off of new opportunities, it's really hard to scale. But if you can go out into your market and say, hey, everybody, I've got 4 lists that typically have 10 to 20 names in them that as you reach out, they disappear, and I don't have enough people to fill the slot. That's sexy. Like that really is. Like people are going to be like, okay, I want to hear more about what you've got going on.
Yep, I love that. And again, and it allows it to be able to recruit and show what's going on, and you have a path for them, which is really what that's all about. And that ABC doc will be, I think, Ricardo, at the end, you guys have got a big package or something that's getting sent out to everybody. So that ABC doc, guys, you guys can have it, or it's on my Realtor in Residence page, and adapt it to you, right? Like it has my stages and all that. Just create some sort of definition and direction, for these people that you're recruiting, so that they have a plan and you're setting them up to succeed. And you have some sort of roadmap to not just like hold them accountable, but inspect what your expectations are, right? None of us want to be babysat and all that, even though we need, myself included, need it. But if we at least have some sort of expectations to inspect, it makes it a lot easier. And now we're on the same journey and not being babysat.
I love how we all laugh. You just say, even though we all
know
Gabe.
We know Gabe.
Yeah, I definitely need it.
We know Gabe.
And
Yeah, and
I was going to say is,
well, oh yeah, go ahead.
I was saying making sure that you have it documented in an easy space where your agents can find it and use it for a reference. So not only a training, but then they're not coming to you to ask, hey, what was that stage I need to put it in? Or what was this? I love how Gabe has it all typed up, and we do the same thing in all of our trainings. So when we have an agent on board, we have a university we created, and here's our follow-up boss section, but you can just click on here and here's our stages. So it's not only a guide to learn, but it's a reference guide that they can go back to. A lot of them have this printed on their desk. So if they're new and they're trying to figure out what to label things as, so just make sure you have it somewhere that's consistent and that they can go back and check on it.
It's important that you're all using the same definitions, because as this scales and grows, like, you just want it to be all consistent, right?
Well, to be able to take advantage of automations, right? Paul, like, you have all these automations, but if you're all working from a different definition of what cold means or something,
it's
like
going to
that,
break your automations. It's going to break everything.
Yeah, and that's right, that's a team lead responsibility. That's not your, that's a team lead to make sure what Mark's created or something like that, that you're giving them that resource to work from versus figure it out themselves.
Well,
that's why they come to you.
Dave, these principles that we're going over, we apply them to our own management styles as well. So when I have a new agent join our team, they go onto our internal website, just a Squarespace site we built. They fill out a form. It answers questions that we decided we wanted info on, like what team are they going to be on, what lead sources, who's their mentor, all that stuff. As soon as we submit that form, we have a project created in Basecamp where they have 3 weeks of tasks to complete. Where, like, day 2, they've got 5 2-minute Loom videos that they have to watch. And these 5 2-minute Loom videos are literally me sitting with them via video, going through each list and giving them the mindset of the list, the general scripting of the list. And so the the ability to automate onboarding, because we've simplified where the opportunities are coming from, right? So because that's not a hot mess anymore, now we're able to strategize and automate bringing people on without a lot of manpower.
I love that, because it's so easy. Like, some of the things too, when we're trying to attract agents, that they get so excited about are some of the most simple things that we need in our business, and we don't have to overcomplicate. It's just organizing and having it so quick and easy for them. So, like, another one that we've built out that's all at your fingertips if you just take the time. Ylopo's built, I don't think I've shown this to you yet, Mark, is just like all the tools that people are getting. Sorry, this stupid Zoom tools are always my, I built this for each one of our cities, and it's just on our Ylopo site to make, so I want them to have, they literally save one link, right? Our branded site /tools. So it's Ylopo heat map, their open house tool, the market trends reports, all the things that they have. But in addition to our training videos, our stages document, quick links, how to get into that MLS, our coaching calendar, FollowUp Boss, all of it's in one spot. So it's just super easy for them to quickly, like, we refer them back to here, right? It also makes it more scalable as a team lead. If they have questions, did you check the quick links? Oh, yep, there's your ABC doc if you need to look at it. Or, hey, what do I say when this comes into Raya? Well, did you check your quick links to look at the Raya text replies, right? It's AI, so we get most of the same responses, right? Perfect. Here's my response to the on hold one I showed earlier. But just having a simple tool that you guys can refer them to that have all of your tools in one spot. Mark had his university, like, just have it. You guys have created a lot of this. You talk to it, you train it, put it in one easy to find spot to where now your agents can just go find it and utilize the tools. And now on the recruit, now that's retention. On the recruiting, you can just show it.
I love Bruce's comment. I don't want to underscore the importance of this, but Mark, I'm going to go to you in a second. You had briefly shown us how you built your training university. Let's talk about that for a second, but really quick. If you look at that and you think, oh my gosh, that's a lot of content, like, I wouldn't know where to start. You're a smaller team, you're looking to grow. What you're really just doing at the root of all of this is you're creating SOPs for your business. You're creating SOPs for your agents. If you don't know what an SOP is, an SOP just stands for standard operating procedure. It's how you would like a task done. So like, I have a virtual assistant. I know how to build landing pages, but it'd be great if I can offload or delegate that to somebody, because we all should be operating from a space of, like, highest and best use of time. we all should be operating from a space where we're doing $3,000 an hour work, not, $10 an hour work. Building the landing page, even though I know how, is doing the like $10 an hour work when I could be on a phone call building a relationship and doing the $3,000 an hour work. That's kind of the mindset that you need to have. The SOP is literally just, this is the task that we're going to be doing. This is why this task is important to the business. And then this is how we execute this task. And then you go step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. And then if you're delegating this to somebody to create for you, you could say something like, here's the SOP. If you find any areas for improvement or you find a way to do it better, please like revisit the SOP and rewrite it for me. It's how you get your documents to become better and crisper and whatnot. So if I look at Gabe's business, he has a ton of SOPs literally for how you should run your real estate business. And then Mark literally took all of that and built a university out of it. We can get into the tech stack in a bit. But Mark, I'll kick it back over to you. Whose sound is that? Is that Barry's?
Yeah, Barry might want to mute himself there. Perfect.
Sorry. But Mark, walk us through your sort of university and how you leverage that in your business for the recruiting process.
Of course, yes. So one of the biggest things, guys, is that when you think, when I first started my team, I had 15 agents, was kind of I was good with that. But then I met a guy and he said, what's the difference between 15 agents and 200 agents? And I said, well, that's a lot more of you got minutes. I don't know if I have that many minutes because I can't handle 15 of them. So no, I don't want 200 agents. Well, I figured I was getting the same question. So every time I got a question, I would record the answer. So it'd be a question answer kind of scenario. And I just started building everything into Google in basically Google Drive. And we had all these videos. And because agents were not the brightest, so keep things short, keep them simple, 2 minutes or less if you can. That way you can explain how to do certain things. But I have everything from welcome to the university, setting your schedule, onboarding with my brokerage that we're part of. And then we go into this and it's never finished. It's a living document, guys. So people say, oh, how long did it take you to build this? Well, one is I took everything from Google and then I brought on a new agent and I said, hey, Brandon, you're smart. Build this into Kajabi or Teachable or any of the online universities and put it and make it look prettier. So that's what he's done. But it basically goes through absolutely everything. So like we use Slack. So it talks about joining Slack and what it uses for. All the links, you can see follow-up bosses in there, who to email if you need issues or if you have issues, et cetera. So, I mean, there are a million different resources in here. It even talks this is just setting things up, but then it's not just a onboarding, it's a training portal as well. So I think it's important that we have people revisit this site so that people are familiar with it, even the experienced agents. So it goes over all of our scripts. So we had someone ask, hey, is there, all of our scripting that goes in here? All of our military stuff is in here, how to do lending deep dive, like understanding credit scores, who to go to on the team. So, I mean, and this is page 1, we got 4 pages. So, I mean, it is ridiculous amount of content. At the end of all this training, I make them finish it in the first 30 days. I found that if they don't do all this training in the first 30 days, they're not typically the go-getters and they're always the ones that make up excuses. So we fire them right there.
Unless you can't train for that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of eliminates a lot of the people that we weren't sure about, or if you were like, man, this person's gonna be a go-getter, but they don't do anything. They're the talkers. So this makes sure, and in there, there's parts where it says like, hey, you need a prospect and you need to have this returned every day. So it's a combination of university and that. At the end of this, we make them do a 150 in-person quiz. So it's a test, a final exam in our office. And then if they don't get a passing score, which I think is like, they have to get 140 or 130, right? 135, I think. If they don't pass it, then they have to go back and check the university and they can keep retrying. But if they can't get through it, we don't want them out there selling homes if they can't understand the basics of real estate. It's private Catholic school payback time. So I'm like the Sister Margaret Ann and Father Fred that I used to have. So I kind of run it that way.
I love that. I mean, look at that. There was so much good stuff in there. And I think, Mark, what you said, I want to make sure people capture it. And it took me way too long to figure this out because I'm dense, but this is shit you're answering and doing anyway. Record it, document it, and now put it in the library. We're already doing this. Those got minutes. We have got to stop and document this stuff and just start putting it together. When we're training what's the follow-up on that Ylopo lead or whatever it is, and we're training that, document it, put it in there so that we can inspect it and all good, right?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, for all the people that are overwhelmed with standard operating procedures, just make checklists, and then when you're done, you can put standard operating procedure at the top of it, and then you have a standard operating procedure. And I'm like, because that's what you guys did at first. Don't lie. You started with.
You're 100% right.
Added. Yeah, exactly. Like, we iterated on it, and you grew it. Start with some freaking checklists. If you can add a Loom video with your checklist, so when you say to somebody, "Hey, this is how you submit the transaction to our transaction coordinator," write it out. There's actually a Chrome extension called, I think it's called Scribble maybe, but it's basically you click a button and it takes screenshots as you're going through the website so that you can just create really easy tutorials. I'm not patient enough to watch a 4-minute video. So I prefer just to look at some pictures, read a couple of texts. Everybody learns differently, but the idea is to be effective.
Loom is a time saver. I can do a Loom and so fast. Those don't use it, just screen record audio, send it. That's 1,000 times faster for me than typing something out and all that. Just do it. And Barry's 100% right. Everyone's like, SOP, oh my God. Just, if you made a list, it's an SOP. If you just emailed somebody when they asked you, hey, do you have a minute to tell me how I can update the listing alert in Ylopo? And you emailed it, that's an SOP. Just start there and add and subtract to it so that you can create all this. It's one step at a time, but we're doing it as team leads every single day, but we're not documenting it and getting it to a place where we can refer people back to. Oh, you're muted, Barry. First time Barry's been on.
Ricardo doesn't like me. No, Ricardo keeps muting me. I'm just kidding. So one of the things you could do is you could dumb down your playbook. Dumb down your SOPs, take out a few things. You could make it a playbook to success. And now you could send it out to some markets or, some agents in your market and say, hey, I've got a playbook for success. Maybe you blur the real meat of your playbook or your SOP. But now people in this market are going to someone that has a plan. Okay. Whether you have an SOP or they need someone that knows how to navigate the next steps. And just saying, I know how to navigate, that's what everybody else does. We need to show them. And if you have a website like Ylopo or any other vendors that integrate with FollowUp Boss that keeps the consumer on your website, it is probably the thing that's most annoying for your agents, because they're like, why do I have all these alerts? It's so annoying. And it's the reason why they'll be successful. And so if you quiet the noise, you give them a plan of action, you will have agents come to you in droves. We've been in contact with several brokerages in my market that are looking to get acquired. They're like, whatever y'all are doing, you're doing 800, 900 units, you're not slowing down, we want in. People are looking for direction. And that's why this is such an on-time topic, Ricardo. So kudos to the team for bringing us together to talk about it.
And just remember too, guys, our SOPs are never finished. So having even a livable document like Google Drive or something where you can go and say, oh shit, I missed that. Let's edit it. And just edit it on the fly. No one's perfect. And trust us, like, we don't know what we're doing. We're constantly changing. I'm taking notes right now. Like, I'm literally like, oh crap, I got to do that. It's little things that you just got to implement, and it's never going to be done, but that's fine. So just remember that, just so you don't feel overwhelmed at all by any means, because there's always something to do.
Well, the market's always changing. Lead sources are always adapting. Like, if you're not in a state of flex, you are failing. Like, it is an attitude of being aware and deciding you don't like doing the same thing twice. So Mark, you're running a wildly successful business. I can't imagine you enjoy saying the same thing 5, 10, 15 times in a row, right? So you record it, you put it in a document, somebody asks, like, there you go, there it is.
I even said this morning, I was like, man, these people want to do reality TV show on our office, but I don't think we're dramatic enough. And then my team looked at me and I was like, I'm kind of an asshole. Shit, maybe I just don't want them filming, because then they'll hear me yelling at people being like, you're really asking me another time? No.
But you're a dramatic asshole, so perfect for reality.
I'd watch it.
Oh, and I'm in Southern California. I spend more than I make. I'm stressed out. I'm perfect. No, just kidding.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're awesome. Barry said something in there too, guys, that I think is key, right? He's like, when we're talking SOPs or process, we just say SOPs because it's fun to say. But when you're looking at your business and doing this, it's not one lead follow-up, right? When we're attracting agents and we're letting them know how we're going to convert higher, each lead source is different, right? Zillow's at a different spot in the funnel versus a PPC versus this. And once you create one, it's really easy. And because I love geeking out on this crap. Literally, I'll show you, like, it's a living document, like Mark said. I literally have a folder of SOPs of everything that we're doing, and we will break it down by lead source, right? So that when we hire a VA as loading, whatever comes, any lead source I can break down, quickly jump to what is the SOP for that. And it's from, how does it come in? Does it come into FollowUp Boss? How are we getting it there? What is our script? Everything is broken down, seller alert. And if I'm going to click on this, then if I don't know how to create a seller alert because it's in the SOP, click here. This is going to tell you my seller alert, right? It's just everything is a living document so that you don't have to train this over and over, but break it down by your lead source. The first one will give you the footprint, and now adapt it, right? So now your VA, your assistant, or your sales team, view only, I learned that the hard way, can go in there and look at it and follow the steps of what that SOP is. But you just have to document the work that you're already doing. And we think that we're going so fast. If you just slow down to speed up down the road, just create this stuff. And like, my SOP is ugly, but it links through and it's step by step, and we're literally changing it each day. And then you want to talk to an agent recruit, what makes you different, right? Now you start talking about what you've documented to help make their lives easy, because you ask the questions to identify the pains in their business. And now you know where to go in the processes that you've created, right? It'll start, and we're talking recruiting agents onto our team, but you can also use this now for lenders and other vendor partners of what you're creating. Because to me, I think we talk about recruiting just agents on our team, but we have other partners in our team, like lenders and things like that, that help us grow and scale this. And when they see that, it will land you additional opportunities because you have a process that nobody else does, just because you took the time. You have it, you just didn't document. Sorry, soapbox, I'll stop. And I want to see, Mark, you have to show them. So Mark has something too that I've seen that I'm ripping off a bit. I love your tech stack link that you send out that kind of highlights some stuff. I think you should definitely show that out to everybody.
For sure, yeah. So we go, and hold on, let me click to that page real quick. That way I can share it directly. Basically, whenever I'm going and I have like an interview with an agent, I'll go through and I'll have all my tabs saved for what I'm going to cover. So this is something that we go over, just talking about, like, and this is whether I'm recruiting someone to my team or my group. Because I'm kind of like Barry, I've got agents, and then I kind of have a brokerage within my team. That we just allow agents that don't maybe need my support as much. But these are all the systems that they have access to. So if you go to this website, you can click on any of them for sure. And then just in here, there's just a bunch of different stuff that we can share with people. So it goes over that we use Ylopo, FollowUp Boss, Sisu, just anything that we're using for our tech stack. One thing I also use during recruiting appointments is I'll go into Sisu, which is our tracking, and I'll show people's volume. I'll click on someone and be like, oh yeah, Raphael, he was my bartender at Ironside last year. He got licensed and he sold 15 million his first year. So then I just go in and I'll deep dive into it. So then there's no way they can be like, holy shit, like this guy's brand new. And then he'll be in the office. I'll make sure of it. And then sure enough, we'll walk out, go talk to him, be like, hey, how'd you do it? And he'll just be like, and I'm not setting him up for it. It's just what they really say. They're like, well, Mark, with Mark's systems, like, if you put your head down and work, you'll be fine.
Proof's in the pudding.
Yep.
Well, and look, already people are like, can we hire you guys for your SOPs, this, that, and the other? And I think, Ricardo, do you want to elaborate on what you said? Because I think that like, they really need to hear this. They need to hear like how easy this can be if they just make a decision to start working on it.
So for me, I'll give you like the easy example, creating landing pages for a webinar. I can sit down and explain it to you, or creating a registration page for an event, because we do a lot of events. I can sit down and explain it to you, or since I'm going to be doing it over and over and over again, we sponsored something like 3 to 6 events per month last year or something like that. Do I want to sit down and explain how to create a process like this over and over and over and over and over again? Absolutely not. It's torture. But if I can sit down and fire up Loom is free. And if you pay for the upgrade, it's a nominal fee anyway. You're going to spend more at the bar at an Inman than you will on the product for the year. But if you just fire up Loom and record yourself on screen completing a task and explaining, this is how you log in the FollowUp Boss, click log in, click on, integrations, go scroll down to the integration, hit the button, the radio button to turn it green and turn on the integration. Like, how much easier is that than anything else? And then hire like a virtual assistant or one of your office staff, or do it yourself. Hire somebody to go through that video and create a written step-by-step playbook, or use ScribeHow to take your freaking video and turn it into a written document with the step-by-step screenshots. I think we're overthinking it for sure. It's just a matter of, I'm going to buckle down and complete this task because I have to do it anyway. So let me freaking record myself going through the process. And then you have a living, breathing.
Yeah. And like that just becomes your habit. And now you have an SOP, right? And it'll be ugly at first, but you'll have something. And when you get a second, Ricardo, I don't want to like hijack it, but I do want to talk about the value of when you finally dial all this in, being able to convert middle of funnel leads at scale. They're cheaper, and you're able to, because of the abundance of opportunities, you're able to start to really scale out your business. And that's where the SOP really shines, because you're moving much faster. You're not just waiting for a hot new lead to come in for a showing request. You're dealing with people who are saving homes and sharing homes, and it just makes it a lot easier to convert. So whenever we get a second, I know you're managing the flow of this, but just wanted to touch on that.
It looks like we're working backwards here, but I did want to ask, because somebody brought this up a while ago. Are any of you using FUB to manage like your recruiting process? So do you have your own drip campaigns, or how are you initially going out and prospecting for the agents that you're planning on recruiting to your business? Are you running ads and, dumping those into FUB? Are you using lead ads, or is it all organic and word of mouth? And how do you get to an appointment with a new prospect?
I'll jump in first. So we're doing a variation. All eggs aren't in one basket. So we've been utilizing Smart Setter recently, because they'll do a lot of calling and setting of appointments. And we're able to give them basically our FollowUp Boss parsing email. So when they set the appointment, that we gave them a FollowUp Boss inbox number. So the lead comes in automatically, Agent Recruit puts those questions we're telling you about, and we get that one auto text. So it goes out confirming time and appointments. So those are all in there. I'm actually in a mastermind right now, leveling up our SOP on recruiting. So we're in the process of building an action plan and recruiting campaign through FollowUp Boss right now. Literally took about an hour and a half break for this webinar to go in and do that. But we are doing all of our follow-up calls, tasks, and everything in FollowUp Boss with those recruits, just to kind of stay on top of it and getting there. In addition to working with our lenders, we're also they've created a form where they're pushing through other agents that they've had a good transaction with, maybe that they would like to work with more, know they benefit from our team. So we're starting to leverage our industry partners more to maybe refer us in, again, try to get maybe a lower funnel recruit coming in as well. But we are funneling it all into FollowUp Boss. And then we're also putting them in stars links and putting them in our remarketing. I want them seeing when we're posting new listings, our listing rocket videos, any of that stuff. I want them seeing what we're doing out in the industry and seeing our remarketing ads to stay top of mind. So I know a lot of people are like, I don't want them on our remarketing through Ylopo and stuff. We're bringing those in and putting them on because I want them seeing those ads. You're talking pennies on the dollar for what the value of that agent is. So we are bringing them in, but we are revamping our campaign for recruiting. So it's not quite ready to share yet. It's literally yesterday, today, and tomorrow's kind of mastermind that I'm doing with a couple other agents here.
I'm scared to put them in my FollowUp Boss because my agents are freaking crazy, and they'll be calling them like, hey, so your real estate needs in 2023.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that was an agent you're trying to sell a house to.
So we put sources, agent, recruit, and they're in a pond that nobody else has access to, so they cannot see them.
Oh, I swear.
We do have a few people who use a separate FollowUp Boss install, basically.
Yeah.
So that's always an option, but
for sure, it is important that you're tracking wherever you're going after people. For us, our number one thing, like we talked about earlier, is my agents are just such raving fans of us that we really make sure that they're recruiting and bringing people in, and then we make sure that they get the credit for it. So with our brokerage, there's a reward system for them, and they get that money sent to them, which they like, because One of my agents had a goal of doing 12 agents, and he got all 12 last year, and he bought his wife a Tesla. So it's pretty cool that you just got to have a system set up, and you have to have an SOP, or have your brokerage help you do it. Our reward system for our company, it's $700 because of we're a mega team. The brokerage pays them $700 if that agent sells, plus stock credit. So it's around $1,100 per agent they recruit. If they recruit to not on the team, it's $2,800. But I've got a gal on my team. I think she has 24 people in her group that is underneath me. So it's kind of a win-win for all of us, and the brokerage pays for that.
What Mark does really, really well that I think he, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, was humble about, is he really leverages his team and the culture and the relationships. He's really, really good at that. I've seen that, like, in what they're doing to, as far as within their tech stack and all that, to help recruit. So he crushes that for sure.
We do these beautiful videos that are of my agents, which I think is great. It's kind of like an agent spotlight. So you can go on my site, Mark Pattison Real Estate, and there's actually like a work with us page, and there's videos of my agents, and it's pretty cool as it shares. So like agents, let's see, work with me, agents apply here. On here it goes, and it's got like, some information. But then if you click this will be a video of Brandon and his success of how he sold 30 years his first year in real estate. Here's Shannon, who stay-at-home mom, decided to get licensed and did 19 million last year. Pretty much a badass. But we and then these people will share these videos on their, their email signatures. They share them to their clients, to their friends. So it's kind of a two birds with, one stone. Is you're getting promotion, you're getting to help out, and it makes your agents feel good. So
I was going to say, this has to be so good for like painting a visual story of the culture or showing the culture.
100%. I'm not, I just literally rip off and duplicate, I copy paste.
Yes. And the videos cost me $400. Like, it's the best reward. And we reward our agents. Like, if you hit this, you get this. So it's got to be a what's in it for them scenario. Like, it's kind of like, hey, if you do your homework, kids, you're going to get the cookie. Figure something out.
I know that it's like only cool to talk about EXP in public, but so I'm at a Realogy firm.
Don't be jealous. Don't be jealous.
But they have a really cool mergers and acquisitions department. And so, although it's not as sexy and granular, having them help us buy other brokerages has just been like phenomenal. It's been pretty much an incredible process. Outside of that, like the one-offs, we do have agent incentives when they bring an agent on. We also have some local events that we've been doing, just pouring into the agent community without even like trying to recruit. So like leveraging the success of my book and things like that, where we'll do like a training classes and stuff like that. That's most agents that are unhappy. They just need to meet other agents that are where they want to be. And then it just kind of happens organically. It just depends on where you're at, and most importantly, where you want to go. I think that's the biggest problem that most of the people listening have, is they have all these great ideas, and the reason why they don't execute is it's kind of analysis paralysis. And also, it's really hard to do this stuff when you don't know what you want. And so it's the most difficult thing for me to figure out what I want. But once I do that hard work, it's actually not that hard. Like with writing a book, the most difficult part for me is outlining it. After that's done, it's actually not that hard. So growing your agent count, like figure out what you enjoy the most. Don't just, take a little bit from Gabe, a little bit from Mark, a little bit from me, and then a ton from Ricardo, because he's always the smartest person in the room. And then just piece it together and figure out where you want to go.
I was on mute. And in case you didn't catch it, yes, he did write an incredible book. I think actually all of our team, it's called Too Sexy for Sales, right, Barry? Or Too Nice for Sales.
That's awesome.
Number 6 on Amazon bestseller. I don't know how in the world that happened, but it did happen. So it's super weird that I didn't learn what a noun was until I was 25. But I figured when I got it, I got it. I got the noun thing down now.
I love it. And I was just kind of rolling through a lot of the posts, and everybody's like, what's your step-by-step test? It's different, guys. You got to figure out your business and your value prop offer. and break those down into where you can send them out, right? Like I just wish there was an easy button that we could just say, here it is for recruiting, but you got to really figure out what's your business and what's your, what you're offering to them, what you're bringing, what pain are you solving, and don't overcomplicate it. Just to, outline what are your value props, right? Outline your questions. You need to figure out, and what is your bandwidth for following up with recruits, or to get people to call? Is it getting a list from lenders, or is it, buying lists through different, and I can't remember half of them, where you can buy the list of agents and their production. Like, you just need to figure out what your bandwidth is, what your offering is, and start with a call or a step, and then what's your next one. Like, I just don't think there's a copy paste on how to kind of do that step-by-step test.
I have a question. If an agent's still in production, should they be recruiting yet? And I don't know the answer. I really want to know your opinion. And I know when you generalize stuff, there's always exceptions. But generally speaking, should they build out a successful business, or should they focus on hiring more agents and just jump into the mess with you? Like, what do you guys think?
I think if you're not if you're not crushing it yourself, I'm going to find it hard to get people to be following you. Because essentially you're the pioneer for your mini group in your industry. So if you're not one of the main guys or the main gals in your marketplace, I would focus on that first. I mean, I know like Gabe moved to another city, but he's been in real estate for years, so he understands it. So it's not like you're just like starting randomly, starting from scratch. You know the process. So I think if you master the process yourself, get yourself as an assistant, and trust me, guys, having an assistant and you going out there and selling 20 million, 30 million, 40 million on your own, it's very profitable and it's a lot of fun. You are, stuck to your city and you can't go on as much vacations, but if you work hard and buy a lot of rentals, you'll be able to retire. So don't think that being a solo agent is anything wrong with that. It's pretty sexy. So do what's best for you.
Yeah. Well, and I agree, man. And I think that we just have to take and figure out, how can my business serve me? What does that look like? How can I do what's fulfilling to me and enjoyable, and then go out and do it?
So I'll play a little devil's advocate on that one. So, but I have done it. I think you need to identify, what are you good at? What are you offering? What do you want to do and not do? I don't know if you've had to approach it. I think you could be, you have to have a knowledge of the industry. I think it's out there. I think if you understand how to bring in tech and offerings and some sort of process and system that solves pains for somebody to market, you can recruit to it. I don't know if you've had to have done millions and millions, but you better be really fucking dialed in, right, on your systems and process. Sorry.
Well, then I'll play devil's advocate. If you stayed in one city and were a full-time real estate agent, Gabe, do you believe you would be one of the top producers in your market?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Look at that confidence. Look at that confidence.
I think it comes down to but that's not what gets me excited anymore. What gets me excited really is coming in, creating systems and processes where people can come in and duplicate. Now, if they can create their own team, and literally I'm sharing with everybody here, and create it, especially through EXP and what we're doing, then it's a win-win. Like, that's what fills my bucket, is creating the process and SOPs and all that, versus going out and doing that. So I think that's what it comes down to is you be you, figure out who you are, what makes you happy, fills your bucket, and go with that. Right. And then that's going to carry on.
Gabe would be one of those agents that would say, kid, I've been doing this for 40 years.
Here's what you know.
Fax me the offer.
Well, either people are going to stop asking us to come on these webinars, or it's going to start to catch on that we're really trying hard to get people to think about what's best for themselves, their market, their circumstances. And we're not like, you notice Gabe and Mark aren't like, yeah, here's a link. It's a download and you can download it. You can purchase it and join my coaching. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. But what we're really trying to advocate for is like, analyze who you are, what's right for you, and your business, and then pick and pull from all of us and crush it.
Rip off and duplicate. Honestly, everything's almost been done. Just surround yourself with good people that want you to win, whether that's solo or a team. Don't think you have to operate. I was already texting Gabe while we're on this. I'm like, Gabe, send me that. Gabe, I need that. There's always new things. And if you surround yourself with the right people, we can come together and definitely collab. So that's kind of like Ricardo. I mean, we've known each other for years through FollowUp Boss and Ylopo. It's like we see each other at conferences, but because we've built that friendship and relationships, it's like we're the first ones to help each other out if you need something.
Yep.
So
that's how we learn, right? And likewise, right? You're showing those videos. I'm grabbing that link and sending it to our admin, who I'm going to give everybody was like, oh my gosh, these docs, these SOPs, guys, I'm not there. In fact, I should probably only have view only access myself because I will F it up. But exactly what Ricardo mentioned and Mark, so like yesterday, we're creating a new SOP for a new opportunity we have. And we're on a Zoom, we're just brainstorming. Laura, Don Carter, and I all brainstorming about it. And we have our admin on the call with us, and he's taking notes. It's sloppy as hell, but he's just taking notes as we're kind of brainstorming it. And then I got a list like, Gabe, you need to record these 3 voicemail drops. You need to create this text template afterwards, or Laura, whoever. And within the day, he's creating those, right? Shout out to Jim. He's in the Philippines. He's our rock. He's just a rock when it comes to admin and SOPs, and he creates it. And it's not worth my time to do it. I can't make it pretty. I wouldn't execute on it, but we can literally just spitball and get all that. And they can take the recording from that Zoom or on the fly and put it together. Then we look at it, still a living document. You guys don't have to do this. Hire somebody, whether, I don't care if it's in the Philippines or onshore, just hire somebody that gets the job done and then move on, right? Like, it's just, you're doing this, you're having these conversations, have them on, our entire Philippines team is on our huddles, right? So when a question comes up and we ask something, it goes into the knowledge base. Like, I'm not creating that. I'd love to take credit for it. It's just, we put people in place to do it. You don't have to take this on. So just get the right people and leverage that out. So there were a couple of questions that came in, Ricardo. I know somebody was asking, do you guys use auto drips, reply mostly personalized text, calls? I would say all the above, right? Figure out the process. So we do a lot of the stuff right in FollowUp Boss, but when we get, let's say, leads that haven't responded after X time, we put them on long-term drips, and we'll put a tag which brings in Agent Legend. I'll give this to you guys too, right? Literally everything's documented. So we'll put them on Agent Legend because we want voicemail drops and auto texts that go out. So we just create SOPs on inactive cold leads because they're not worth our time to chase. So we launch it, it'll do day 1, voicemail drop. I've transcribed it, you guys can have it. Here's an audio of my actual voicemail. Then it sends this text with this link, day 2, day 3, day 4. So it's all of the above. Just automate as much as you can and focus on the people that are worth your time. For us, those are the ones, similar to Mark, if they're worth our time, I don't need a task because they asked a question, they'll pop into list 1. If they're worth our time and looked at their home valuation, they'll pop into list 2. If they start talking to AI, they pop into list 3. If they triggered a priority alert because they came back, started looking at homes, they popped into list 4. Those get my priority, not because they have a task, because it was some sort of activity or inbound that needs a response. And then the rest just gets automated to encourage more activity between remarketing, dynamic listing alerts, and all that is basically created to get them to do something to pop them into list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. If they don't, they're not worth our time. We just keep filling the funnel.
Awesome.
Thought there was another question there for Mark that I skimmed right over. Oh, I think you answered it. Your reward system, you covered that, right?
My reward system, yes. Well, yeah, we just pay the squad leader $500 each closing.
Perfect.
That alleviates it from all coming to me. Just like Gabe was talking about having admins and VAs, and guys, it's all about leverage. If you're a control freak, you're not going to make it. Not, especially building a team. You have to give some of that control up. You can't run it all.
And you don't have to pay for this either. Like one thing that we've really scaled up over the last year, taking a lot of the lead follow-up, not lead follow-up, the prospecting off our agents plates, and we've hired ISAs to do it. Our agents have access to the ponds to go prospecting and do all that. And if they do, they get their split. But if my in-house ISAs get the lead first, we post it into our Slack channel. Here, I'll just show you guys. We'll post it right into our Slack channel. I think you guys can see my Slack, right? We have like a hot leads channel where we'll just post if somebody's got a live transfer, if they got them on the phone, or if they set an appointment, people can grab these. And then if they grab these right into FollowUp Boss, we just post, they know if they take it out of the hot leads channel, we charge an extra 5%. The split goes from 50-50 to 55-45, right? They could have got it, but I have to pay for those ISAs to go in there and do it. The agents enjoy just taking the live transfers of the appointments, but we just change the split 5% on there. It's optional for them to take it, but this allows us to grow and scale that and pay for it, right? So some of the stuff that you're hearing, like, holy shit, I'm a solo agent, just do one at a time. But as you're adding more and more services, that is a value add that you can charge for as a team lead. This is a business.
And also, like, when it comes to marketing, marketing is about being unique. It's about standing out. And that's hard to do consistently. Valuable. And then there's little things. Like, I didn't really realize it, Ricardo, at the time, but at FubCon, you guys had like a VIP section, right?
Yep.
All right. So I didn't really get it. Okay. I mean, I got the VIP pass. I didn't really understand why or whatever, but then I was up there. There was coffee, there was snacks, there was a bathroom. More importantly, what I realized was you're just sitting there and other people that are investing in their business will come sit next to you and ask you questions, and you have dialogue. And that doesn't sound profound, but I'm telling you guys, I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to embarrass him, but there is a top performer that's not very smart. And what he's good at, he is the best I've ever seen at becoming friends with people. I've never seen anything like it. And it's not even disingenuous. It's like he's attracted to people that are better than him in a like professional way. And he, at least I think, and he just like connects with them, and he levels up really, really quickly. And so that proximity is power with this stuff. So those little things, when you think about it intentionally, it goes a long way when you're trying to think about how to set yourself apart in your market and come up with new ideas.
I'm the dumbest, richest person because I've copied everyone.
Well, there's somebody that I think might have you beat, but I'm not going to say.
That's awesome.
No, but no, I love that because I do think it's so important. Is like proximity is power, but also implementation is power. Not having that analysis paralysis, just going for it. It's huge. But man, learn from each other. So much better to collaborate and mastermind.
Done really is better than perfect. If I delegate something and it's done I'll even take 70%. But if it's done 70 to 80% and all I got to do is clean up a little bit of messes, a little bit of the messy work to get the details right, that's a hell of a lot better than, 0%. And I have to do it myself. We're kidding ourselves when we're lying to ourselves, and we have trust issues when we say, oh, I can just do that. I'll do it better myself. Like, you're just kidding yourself. You're taking away time in your day, and you have trust issues because you're not willing to let go and delegate. Like Barry said, you got to let go to grow. Something like that.
Well, and because a lot of the people that are listening to this, what's gotten them to where they are is they care about everything. Like their clients, like they know their clients' birthdays, they know their kids' names. They're obsessed with adding value and being an amazing agent. And that mindset, while it's what made them successful, it's also what's going to work against them as they begin to scale, because they're going to be afraid, oh, well, the consumer experience is diminishing. And I'm not saying you shouldn't care about it at all, but you've got to make some really high-level business decisions. Do I want to keep things the way they are? And if you do, that's fine. But if you don't, you got to start somewhere, and it starts with you.
Where was I going to go with this? Let's put a bow in this. We've covered quite a bit of ground. I think that before you get into, what system do I use to recruit more agents, you want to get really intentional about who it is that you're trying to attract. When we sit down to create our recap videos for our events, the thing that me and my videographer ask ourselves is, what do we want the outcome of this video to be? Like, what's the purpose of this video? We don't start and just throw a bunch of, pardon my French, shit together without really getting intentional and thinking about what is the objective that we want this video to achieve. So it's the same for your business. You literally need to get intentional about what specific type of agent am I trying to attract and why. Once you answer that, then I think you could get into the tactics and really the nitty gritty of like, how do I script this out so that I'm making an impact, or so my message is resonating with somebody so I can get to an appointment. I think that's go ahead, Barry.
I was just going to agree with you. And I was going to say, and I don't know why, but literally writing with a pen when I'm doing what you just said is how I'm able to get it done. And then I use a Evo planner, which is like, I'm very much tech and automation, but the Evo planner is a notebook. And all it does is it architects the planner based off of your personality type. And then it specifically says, what is your goal for the year? What is your goal for the month to work towards your goal for the year? What are your goals this week to work towards your goal for the month? And then what is your goal today to work towards the week, towards the month, towards the year? So it literally just parses out this big, hairy, I want 10 agents. Okay, great. All right, well, what do I do incrementally over the course of a year to get that done? Let's say I hold 3 events this year. Okay, great. What do I do this month to hold my quarterly event to reach people? Great. What do I do this week to work towards that goal of the month? And writing it down has been a profound change for me. It's really made a difference.
Awesome. Like Bruce said, it literally chunking it down and reverse engineering. So super impactful. Evo Planner was the name of it. Mark Jensen, I should say. Secondary thing we talked about is your tech stack. Making sure that you have things organized, and you have in office like terms we call it, or in design terms we call it feng shui, right? You want to be able to come to your office and have it be designed just right so you can get down and focus and get to work. It's the same for your tech stack. Is it an absolute mess, and so it's creating more mental overload and overwhelm? Or do you have it set up with the right smart lists and the right automations so that it's, you're eliminating some of that overwhelm for the agents that you're trying to attract and recruit? Is it Fisher Price simple for you to use? And could you turn around and teach it to an agent and, have them, or trust that they can implement it in as little as 10 to 15 minutes a day or less or whatever? Point being is, dial in your tech stack, dial in your systems or your processes, and start to document this stuff, because you might be one agent now, but as you start to grow into 3, 5, 10 or more, you're going to have a lot of consistency. Otherwise, it's all going to break. But start to dial in those systems and set up your CRM so it has good feng shui, so that when you come in, you're excited to work in it, and you're working on your business, not getting lost in the weeds of it and trying to figure out what the hell any of this data means.
Well, and Gabe and I are. Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. No, you.
All right. Well, you see, you were getting ready to say the third thing, so I didn't want to cut you off.
I totally forgot what it was now.
Oh, I'm such an idiot. I'm sorry. I was just going to say, Gabe and I are neck deep in developing Maverick with the team, and oversimplifying, it's an ops manager and a leads manager in a box. And so one of the things that we've recognized from a tech stack perspective is, if I was to personify a team owner, there's that emotion you feel when you're logging into FollowUp Boss and you're looking for missed opportunities. And you're like, okay, did we get back to all of our leads? Gabe's going to do this the rest of his life, even with Maverick. But did we respond to all the right response? He's laughing because I'm right. Did we respond to everybody? Did we get to everybody? To have software programmatically find those opportunities and say, these are the ones that the ball has been dropped. 2 hours have gone by. The lead responded and nobody called them back. Nobody texted them back. And so finding software that fills in those gaps as you're self-aware and what's stressing you out in your business, that's key. And honestly, a lot of these Facebook groups, FollowUp Boss, the Ylopo group, if you go in there and say, what are you guys doing to solve XYZ problem in your tech stack? You're going to get a million ideas, and then you can go and apply them to your business.
I don't remember what the last thing was, but I'm gonna try to put a nice, pretty little bow on this. A lot of you guys have been asking, as this webinar is kind of going through, can I have a copy of that script? Can I have this? Can I have that? We actually do have a lot of those scriptings put together for you. So if you want to download kind of a checklist that walks you through best practices for implementing some of this stuff and what we talked about, you can go here and download our Ylopo and FUB system checklist. If you want to see Gabe's sort of definition of how he manages lead stages so that everyone's on the same page about how to use what lead stage when, you can come here and download that here. If you want to see Gabe's lead follow-up and expectations, a lot of those downloads are here. So I'm going to go ahead and post that in the chat. And then say thank you for all of you for sticking around and giving us, an hour and a half of your day. We appreciate you taking the time. You guys are rock stars. You're amazing. And it's because of you that we do this content together. That sounded really cheesy. If there's anything missing in here, like there's some scripts that you were asking for, I'll sync with Gabe and the team a little bit after the webinar and make sure that we send it to you with a copy of the replay. So yes, for those of you that showed up late, this webinar is being recorded. You'll automatically get a copy of the replay once we've downloaded the recording from Zoom, uploaded it to its host provider, and you'll get an awesome link with all the downloads, resources, etc. Love to open it up to you guys to see if any of you have any final questions or parting thoughts. Anything we missed or any final words of wisdom that you guys want to leave our attendees with?
Just start somewhere, guys. Like, you don't have to do all this. Take a lot of this, rip it off, duplicate it. Just start somewhere. Does not have to be perfect. Just start somewhere. I think I got the additional stuff that I went rogue on and showed over to Michelle to add to this page. So if I am missing something, Ricardo, just yell at me. I'll get it here so they can add it to. But because it's just one step. So wherever you are in your business, just literally find one thing. And I know that always sounds cheesy, but it's just the easiest, right? Barry talked about the book, like the outline, whatever it is. Just start. If it's not for you, right? If you're on this and you're like, okay, shit, this isn't for me, right? That's also good. Then find a great team, realize, okay, now I know what I'm looking for in different teams. And then go find one. Like, it might not be for everyone. Your bucket is out making a ton of money and showing property and doing all that. Go do that, right? Because I think sometimes that's a better path if that's your personality. So just figure it out, what fills your bucket and you want to do, and then just start with that next step.
I just want to say that I really enjoyed, like, for those of you that want to know what it's like to sit down and mastermind with top agents, this essentially was exactly that. Like, if Mark and Gabe and I got together and we're hanging out, this is what we would do in Ricardo for like an hour and a half. I don't think anything about this conversation would have changed. Like, I literally think it would have been a very, like, us collaborating and sharing ideas. The other thing I want to say is, for those of you that the cost per lead for very bottom of funnel transaction ready leads continues to rise because some of the big technology companies have realized that's where they can make their money, is off of our commission. I'm not mad at them. I would do the same thing if I was them. Okay, so I'm not mad. What I want you to know is that the ability to drive your opportunity costs down, so getting leads that are ready to talk to you and ready for your agents, as you go down that pathway, what you're going to find is it's going to decrease the amount of pressure you place on your business, because you only have 10 bottom of funnel leads. Who do I give them to? Instead of saying I've got 10 bottom of funnel and 90 4 to 5 month out. If you can monetize the 90 in this example that are 4 to 5 months out, you have a very scalable business model. It's a worthwhile endeavor. And I really want to encourage everybody. Maybe we can do another section on that another day, Ricardo, because I really think that'll free up opportunity for a lot of teams.
Awesome. Take control of your lead gen. Awesome. Well, thank you all very much. I appreciate you. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for having us.